Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel where we continue our 2020 BMW M2 rebuild. Now in today's video we'll be removing the undercarriage tray of the vehicle to give us more space to work as we remove the front and rear control arms on the left hand side, as well as the tie rod and assembly. We'll also be removing the front bumper as it is damaged to assess any potential hidden damage, and also to allow us access to the front stiffener, otherwise known as the crash bar, as that is also damaged, so that we can remove that and replace it sometime in the future. That's the plan anyway, and let's see how far we get with that today. Now, I don't think these are cherries, but this was certainly sitting under some sort of tree. There's a number of leaves there that have obviously fallen onto or found their way onto this tray. Before I show you the undercarriage of the car, I'm gonna remove this panel here and that one, as they go all the way underneath and connect to this one here. What this will do, it will allow us more space to work on removing the parts that we need to remove. Done. Now I can show you the undercarriage of the vehicle, and there it is in all its glory. Obviously we've got here your steering rack. I believe this is an electric one, so your electric steering rack, and over there is the boot that we'll need to remove so that you can actually replace that tie rod end. And then as you can see how bent the lower control arm is compared to that one over there on the right hand side. Maybe let's zoom in, and you can also see how straight the tie rod end is on the right side compared to this one here on the left, which you can see was bent during the accident. So now what we need to do is go ahead and start with the work of removing the lower control arm as well as the tie rod end, and we'll also remove the upper control arm, because as you can see that has got some damage, so some parts got dislodged. So I'm not going to take chances with that to ensure the integrity of the handling of the vehicle. I'm just going to go ahead and replace that as well, and yeah, let's get that done. Now all three of these nuts on the wheel hub use a number 21 spanner, so I'll be using my ratchet for that. Obviously it's three. It's this one for the tie rod end, that one for the lower control arm, and it's this one at the bottom for the upper control arm. At this point, I was starting to realize that due to the impact during the accident, the control arms were now stuck onto the wheel hub, and so I was willing to try just about anything to get them out. So what I thought of doing was removing them first from the chassis side of the vehicle, which surprisingly worked, and I was able to get them out that way. while I wait for those tools, I'm going to go ahead and remove the front bumper. This will enable me to see obviously where that hose is coming from and to assess any damage which might have occurred as a result of the accident, which is behind the bumper. I doubt there's any, but we just want to make sure. Again, we will need to remove the bumper as it is damaged, and we'll need to find a replacement one. What this will allow me to do as well is to see what is on the right hand side of the vehicle, just for me to get an idea of what was ripped off on the left hand side during the accident. So this bumper is held in place by a number of these screws. You'll need a size 10 spanner to get those removed. And here on top there's 6 Torx screws, and you'll need a T30 Torx bit to get those out. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done. The last thing is that I've already removed the front part of the right wheel arch liner, and you'll see here that there is another 3. That's actually 1, 2, 3. There's another 3 screws which hold the bumper onto the fender. So connect the bumper onto the fender over here. There's 3 screws at the bottom here which I'll have to remove as well. Before you pull out the bumper, please be mindful of the headlight washers. So the long hose I've discovered is actually for the headlight washers, and it connects at the bottom over here. So all you need to do is just pull on this release, and then you pull it down with the other hand. Unfortunately, I'm holding the camera with one. This third part here connects to this hose over here, and you disconnect it the same way. You pull on this release and then you pull it out, and there she is. And as you can see, the right hand side is just about completely intact. Nothing really damaged on this part. What I think I'll do now is just remove the headlight so that we can keep it away for safe storage. I'll strip off some of the plastic parts here, see what we can possibly salvage, like these parts here. I'm sure I can plastic weld this together or find a way to keep it so that I can save that. We want to. That light seems to be fastened at 4 points. This is the first one here on top, and if we get inside under here, it's fastened by that bolt there at the back, and then there seems to be 2 more screws here at the bottom. If you can see that, this is the first one, and then in there is the last one. So I'm gonna loosen those and let's see if we can get it out that way. Number 13, to remove the crash bar. And there is the radiator pack, otherwise known as the red pack. Everything looks fine there. There's no damage at all that I can see. So what I'm gonna do next, I want to remove this bracket, which obviously holds the intercooler here at the bottom. It also holds the left headlight here on top. But now the problem or challenge is there is a screw hidden inside this part of the crash bar, and for me to get to it, I'll have to remove the radiator pack. But since I do not want to do that, I'm going to go ahead and remove these two bolts so that I can pull this out. I think I'll have to remove that one there as well so that I can pull this out, remove this bracket, and then I'll put this back in place. And that's the screw that we went through all this effort just to get that out. Obviously I couldn't take this off as well because of those two screws in there, so I had to take it off as one unit. So I finally managed to get the old parts out, and you can see the extent of the damage comparing the old with the new. That's your lower or the back control arm. That's the one that took most of the shock or absorbed most of the damage. The upper or front control arm wasn't all that damaged. You can see the damage was just slightly there. You can see there was some dislodgement compared to this one, but you'd rather be safe than sorry when it comes to these parts. And obviously this is your tie rod assembly. As you can see, that is nice and straight, but if you look at this old one, it's a bit crooked over here. So we'll attempt now to get that out by undoing this clip over there, and yeah, let's see if we can get that out. And over there is my brake fluid. Long story, but it ended up dripping over there, so I'm just trying to contain the spillage. That's not a clip, that's a clamp that I'll be getting out. And the parts are courtesy of Makopo, who works at the parts department at North Cliff BMW. So he sorted me out with all of these parts. There's a whole big other bag of goodies with parts that he also helped me out with, but we'll unveil those as we go on with the rebuild. Thanks, Babu Makopo. It was after removing this boot and taking a look inside to see how the tie rod assembly is assembled onto the steering rack that I realized that I do not have a spanner big enough to actually unscrew or unwind the tie rod assembly from the steering rack. And this unfortunately leads us to the end of today's video. We hope that you've enjoyed or learned from this. If you have, please give us a thumbs up. Please also consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you do not miss out when we release new videos on this build and other work that you might do on other vehicles. If you have not seen part 1, please check on the right side of your screen. You should see the playlist with all the videos we've done on this build. And if you check out on the left side of the screen, top left, you should see some of the videos that we have done on the channel. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.